Vivian Wallis, Exile, One Groovers, Chef Joe. Yo passé tous les voyages musiquement. Mais attends, jodi, j'ai nesté qui la J. Si pas tes wadix qui qu'a poussé. For only one as you done for us all. Spreading the culture all over the world. For all the good things that you done for God, that's what it is. We thanking you. We thanking you, brother.
Bonjour tout le monde, tout le monde Dominique et aux Antilles. C'est un grand plaisir pour nous là, messieurs, mesdames. Ça, c'est une émission qui est très, très, très importante. Ça, c'est là, nous capables d'avoir information. Comme ça, qui a passé, messieurs, mesdames, la culture de la Dominique et Caraïbes là aussi, pays francophonie, tout ça. Et puis, c'est un grand plaisir pour nous là, messieurs, mesdames, pour Session Créole. Et puis, nous là, avec un grand invité, ça a fait nous plaisir là. Good morning to you, Dominique. Good morning to you, Eastern Caribbean. Welcome to another edition of Creole Heartbeat, and it gives us great pleasure to have with us a very instrumental figure who revolutionized the genre of gospel music. This is Jerry Lloyd. I know him from grammar school to the B plus and goes on and on. He'll give us a tidbit about a little background about himself. But he has a major concerts going on. He's one of the most professional entertainers in Dominica. Let's say good morning to Jerry Lloyd.
Well, good morning, Wadix. Good morning, all those of you listening to DBS Radio Land. And thank you so specially for having me. Also, those of you on Creole Heartbeat in particular, ardent listeners, fans, God bless you. It's good to be here, and thank you for having me here, Wadix.
Okay, we are also live on DBS Radio Facebook page and YouTube channel, and once again, it's a pleasure. How are you, sir?
Well, hello, Facebook and YouTube channel.
How are you, Jerry?
Good, thank you. Good.
And I know the last time we spoke, it was a difficult time for us. Fitzroy Williams,
yes,
On to the Wild
yes,
Beyond. It was paying tribute to him. Also, we met at the NIPP.
Yes, the Gospel Song
Festival
Preparations.
What has Jerry been up to? Even before we go to that, give us a little background for those who may be hearing you for the first time. A slight synopsis or a little brief bio as to Jerry Lloyd, over 4 decades into the business.
Well, artist, producer, songwriter, composer, also trainer, if you please, of musicians, singers. It's part of what I do, a bit of production work as well. But I have been into music in general for about the last 56, and into the gospel in particular for the last 45 years.
Wait a while. You have been in singing for 56 years.
I know I look like 30, but yes.
56 years, and gospel in particular for 45 years. Yes. Okay.
And so this has taken me across a massive journey, which began with the use of what was available and accepted at the time, which was a lot of country and western stuff and ballads, what have you. But I quickly transcended from that because the music inside of me was a whole lot more. And so I began to do the music that I know, the music that we know, and of course that brought me a whole lot of persecution and suffering in some things. But I persevered because I have been convinced that I'm gifted of God to do exactly what I do.
Even before we go to there, it seemed that you want to skip your grammar school days.
Oh, no, that's that.
You were Calypsonian.
You said synopsis, I went fast.
Yes, but we have an hour.
Let me slow down.
We have an hour, but I would like them to know, as a matter of fact, because you sang in the major competition.
Right, okay.
You also did that, but then people may not know that you sang at the grammar school.
Okay, so let me take it back a bit. My first involvement in singing in a very public, I guess, kind of way was when I became a member of the Goodwill Junior High School Choir years ago. Yeah, I was an alto then.
Wow.
And so I did that, and all from home we always had a lot of rhyme, rhythm, music, and singing. And so no small wonder that by the time I was 7, I was writing songs of my own, singing from 5, and I went to the Downtown Grammar School at 11 years old and encountered the likes of Shaky, Hakesy, the Explosion, my brother, Monty Douglas, and a host of other gentlemen who were involved in Calypso at the time. And so my first experience with competition was the Calypso competition at the Downtown Grammar School when I was in first form. I remember Mr. Mikey Bruni saying to me, "Boy, you nervous?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Go back and do some jumping jacks." Came back to the stage, a totally different man, all the nervousness and butterflies gone. And I've never looked back since. In these early days, I managed to place in a couple of the competitions, and that, of course, was very encouraging for me. And I continued to sing. As a young man also, I recall there being a Calypso competition in Mahu. Shaky was part of that, as well as the Explosion. And in that competition, well, from that competition, Bells Combo would invite me now and again when they were going to do dances and stuff like that, to go out with them and to sing. So from a very young age also, I encountered what the dancehall scene kind of was like. Then we, of course, being into singing and music, we encountered Bassi, the brothers, all of my brothers and myself, and he encouraged us, why don't we form a band, which we did. So the original B Plus was...
That is Arthur Pascal.
Yes, Arthur Pascal. So it was Arthur Pascal, Colin Lloyd, deceased my brother, Joey, Eddie, young keyboardist, and myself. At the time, I was lead vocalist and drummer, Wadix. Wow. Walked into the band house of Bells Combo to practice for the first time. And while I was sitting there singing that song, the Condom song from St. Lucia, What a Dread Situation, They Make a Law, yeah, that. So I was singing that song, and Augustus, better known as Method, he steps into the building, standing in the doorway, and says, "Let me play that for you now." That was my last day drumming. And he did a yeoman's job with that. So I maintained position as lead vocalist. We found opportunity to sing, well, and to play alongside Bells Combo on various of the gigs. But in addition to that, that experience took us into various shows, and you would remember the grand spectacular kind of extravaganza that Grand Max had at St. Joe. So yes, we played in that too, along with all of the big bands. Wonderful experiences. And so that is the part of the background that I come out of. And so...
How old were you then in B+?
Oh, man, I was what? 12, 13.
Wow.
About young.
We were all very in a band.
Yes.
And it's important to know that during those days, I mean, Calypso was the...
Oh, yeah, that was the thing, yes.
The music at that time.
The music, yes.
So you would have been influenced, and Bells Combo would have been playing Calypso music.
Yes. I at that time, Exile One was... I mean, there was a whole lot of music, but Exile One was strong. And then Hallie of Bells Combo, Halibut, was a sensational singer. And so their impacts upon me would have been more direct than that of many of the other groups that came through the times.
What about Mike Morrow? Would he have influenced you?
Yes. He... more for his musicianship than for his singing. Not because he couldn't sing, because he sang well, but because he did the more difficult melodies that Bells Combo would do at the time. And so at that time, my appreciation for that would not have been as strong. Harley Gordon were easier to listen to because his songs were kind of easier melody kind of thing. But yeah, he as well, very, very strong. I remember Voice the Bassman, big voice. And in those days, of course, all background vocals, men. Yeah. So it was a very interesting time to be operating within music and to see the flow of things. Out of that, well, in a few years later, my father said, "You know what? External exams are coming, band done." And so all those of us who were at school left B+. Joey had left school, so he remained, and of course Arthur Pascal stayed, Dada, his cousin, came on, Method stayed, and a few other musicians, including Senator the Calypsonian.
Calvin Senator,
yes,
lead vocalist with Lazo.
Yes, that's correct.
I remember that band very clearly. B+, very sensational and versatile band.
Yes.
They played quite a bit of Creole music also.
At the time,
compan, the Calypso music, even African music.
Yes.
That's what I played.
And as a matter of fact, at the time, my brother, The Explosion, was lead guitarist and organist, Joey.
Wow. Okay. Just like Co did
Yes,
said
yes,
that Marcel
yes.
So, by the way, we are live with Jerry Lloyd, the prolific gospel singer, and we just want to remind you that the awards, the Music Awards, Dominican Music Awards, carried for this weekend has been postponed, and that's because we are feverishly in discussions with the government of Dominica to try to really get this on a world-class level. We have several partners in Guadeloupe, in Martinique, in New York, in Paris, that we are discussing to really bring this a real spectacle to you. So it has been postponed to sometime later this year. So our prospective sponsors, those who have confirmed already, and even the artists who are actually looking forward to the Dominican Music Awards, it has been postponed to later this year. At what point, Jerry, did you transition from normal life to a believer?
1979.
That's it. The
Year of David.
Hurricane.
Yes, year of Hurricane David. As a matter of fact, it was April, May, June, July. 5 months before Hurricane David. Yes.
Okay, you gave your life to Christ.
Yes, I gave my heart to Christ, and it was good for me because the peace and the calm of my experience during David was quite well, first of all, shocking to me that the peace of God could keep on so strongly, and also it helped me, it put me in a position to be able to help others of us through the process. And so I remember following that there was a move to send us overseas, and I was like, no, I want to stay to build my country. So even from that young age,
because quite a bit of Dominicans migrated
at that time,
after
and some have never returned.
Hurricane David, and that's because of the trauma, the turmoil, the devastation,
and the devastation.
In
The
particular,
extreme devastation.
Yes, the extreme. Yes. And for those who may not be old enough, a system very close to Maria.
Yes.
And did similar damage also.
Yeah, when I describe the damage of David, I say it was as if a man with an afro had taken a bald head cut.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean everything affected.
Everything. Yes, so by that time you transitioned.
Yes.
And the musical energy, vibes in you wanted to burst and to really take the world, take the Caribbean by storm.
Actually, no, because when I gave my heart to Christ, I put music down. My interest was I want to grow in the Lord and become. So it was not like I get in there and let me play music, no. But through the process, we began, so some of the folks began to discover that I played. So we began to play the guitar and do some stuff, sing with some of the guys. And then, so out of that process now came the music that was inside of me, which was past the country and western music, which I did use, past the ballads, into the reggae, the calypso, the cadence, the soca, and the music of the day at that time. And so immediately when the music started, the revolution began. And so with that came the persecution that comes with introducing new things, and particularly from a church standpoint, because in those days, to play a calypso on Sunday was considered a sin or sinful. So can you imagine now, you go into service on Sunday and that's what you bring with you. And so it was a challenging time, sometimes a discouraging time. But interestingly enough, when I attempted to escape what was coming out of me, it didn't work. And so I elected to stay with the music. And through the course of the suffering and the blows and the rejection here and there.
But who actually were actually talking negative about you and the type of gospel music you were actually trying to showcase? Your church members?
Church folk. Not just my members, but church folk. Members initially, and then church folk in general. In general.
Including Catholics?
I do not recall, because of course I was in different circles, so I do not recall hearing that kind of pushback from Catholics, although I will say the very traditional behavior of having mellow music on a Sunday was also very Catholic, and so it's likely, but I would not have had the direct experience with it because I was in different circles at the time. And so from the evangelicals, basically, that's
you
where
got
I
any
experienced
feedbacks then from out of Dominica?
Only when I traveled. Yes, and when I traveled, yes. The thing about it though, I guess, you know how sometimes a guy is going to sing a reggae song and suddenly starts talking like a Jamaican? Then he's going to sing a bouillon, so he suddenly starts talking that way. I've never been like that. It has always been about the message for me. So I come and I introduce the song as the song that's coming, and so people are anticipating the message.
Yeah.
It's just that by the time it hits them that's the genre, then people start to react to that. And so from that standpoint, I did have reactions from some places. Although for me, a lot of it would have been, wow, I didn't know the gospel could be presented that way. Some people resisted, like, you can't do that. How Mr. can do that kind of thing. But I found that overseas, for me, the resistance was not as heavy as it was for some of the people that I traveled with. Reason being, and at the time, nowhere in the Caribbean played that kind of music. But the reason why I think there was more resistance to some of the other guys is in introducing the songs, knowing that people were resistant. Fellas who say things like, well, you know, I'm going to sing that song, and it's a reggae song, but don't mind the beat. But you tell the people it's reggae.
Yes.
And you tell the people there's a beat coming. So you meet the resistance at the fore.
Yeah.
I sing the song. They realize it's reggae, but in the introduction, I didn't say anything about beat. So the anticipation carried me further in. If you
So you're more focused on the message.
That's it. That's what it has always been. You see, and so in 1982, probably thereabout, having passed through Ken Robinson's studio, and interestingly enough, my music was growing. I was growing along, and then manager of DBS Radio, Myrtle Solomon, took me to Ken's studio. She said, what you doing? We got to get you recorded. Go to Ken.
So DBS was part of your first recording?
No.
The manager
it should have been.
It should have been, okay.
But when I was through singing, doing the demos at Ken looked at Mrs. Solomon and said, Mr. have a rasp in his voice. I do like to hear him. He cannot sing.
A rasp in his voice.
Yeah.
And you
I don't like to
sing.
hear him. He can't sing.
Ken told that to Myrtle Solomon.
Yes.
Wow.
And so she just forgot all about recording.
Wow.
But of course, if the professional tells you that's what it is, then what are you going to do with it? So that put paid to imagine my first album, my first recording would have been a 45. So but so I went back to that. No, that didn't make sense in my head in terms of, he said I can't sing. I just went back to doing what I was doing, practicing and doing my music. And a couple of years later, I encountered Mr. Clifford Gibbons on the street. Cliffy. Yeah, good guy. And so he said to me, boy, of course, my music had grown some more. The demand for it was greater. The tide was kind of turning. It was still rough, but he says to me, listen, we're trying to put local gospel music on TV. And we cannot find anybody to do it. The people we ask either don't think they're good enough or they're scared about what church folk would say. See, same kind of scenario, but of course a different response. I said, let me talk with my guys about it, and if I'll get an answer to you soon. Met him a couple of days later. I said, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
He says, okay, well, if we're going to do it, we need to meet at such and such and such an address on such and such a day. Picked up my guys, we went up to Santa Roma, and guess where we were going to?
Ken Robinson.
Ken Robinson Studios.
The same Ken Robinson.
The same Ken Robinson.
Rejected you earlier. You're at his home now in
his studio again. So,
how was the response then?
Well, we did 4 songs. Satisfaction, Guaranteed, Suffering in the Wilderness. I think the priesthood's been changed, and a song called I'm Free. Ken looked at me and said, but your singing has improved, man. Now, I'm looking at Ken, and when he had said I couldn't sing, it didn't make sense. Now he's saying my singing is improved. It didn't make sense either.
Nothing changed.
To me, but at least I had not recognized the difference. Yeah. I just know I've been practicing and doing what I do. He says to me, but maybe we can record an album. And so, you see how the scripture tells you, the stone that the builder refused becomes the headstone of the corner.
Stone, yes.
So he can now, who had initially caused me not to record a 45, was now recording my first 8-song album, dearly and endearly known as Satisfaction Guaranteed. And so that was my first album. Then,
on that particular album, what genres you explored?
Bluegrass country, spooge,
yeah.
A little bit of funk, a couple of ballads, and reggae.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No Kadas yet.
No, not yet. These are the days of the heavy chanting, man. The reggae was heavy in those days. And so I did that and traveled to Barbados in 1986. 86, I get to Barbados, and I met them they were preparing for a gospel song competition. 50 contestants were addicts. No Caribbean music. Nothing. I mean, not even Bajan Spooge. Nothing. And so, right within that time, so they would practice, and then I get to the concert, which was very interesting because the Bajan music was very American at the time. And I remember getting on stage. Now I'm through, I get off stage and the crowd was roaring, man. It was, did I sing? I did sing a cadence song at that my first outing out of Dominica with cadence. I sang a song I wrote called Conformity or Transformation and cadence. As a matter of fact, I taught the Bajans, promise, to play cadence. And so that satisfaction guaranteed. Jesus is sweeter at the time, and probably the Swood song, the pursuit's been changed. And so we did that, and the crowd was going crazy. Somebody walks up to me backstage and says, "Boy, Bajans don't like that kind of music." It did not look like that in the crowd. As a matter of fact, I did an anchor presentation and then got off stage. Wadix, they played the video of that thing in Barbados for about a year and a half. They played that thing until they will get the video. They will drop out in the video, and they continued to play it. So Jerry Lloyd became a household name in Barbados, and very, very closely linked with Jesus is Sweeter, of course, because that was the song that really broke things over there. So did that, and then of course beyond this, I've recorded I did like 3 other cassette albums, and then came 1996. Let me go. Now, I have to tell you, between this and that, I did not understand it at the time, but one of the responsibilities that fell to me was to carry cadence through that time, because from my second album, Jesus is Sweeter, I've always recorded cadence. And at the time, there was a lack and a lull. It's like people had stopped playing cadence. Apart from Ophelia, who was doing it in the French countries, Chubby and myself. That's all I know of. Well, of course, Exile One, but Exile One was international. But locally, Chubby and myself carried cadence through. And as a matter of fact, so I recorded. And
then later, RSB and Serenade.
Right, picked it up. Yes. Now, interestingly enough, when CK came on this scene, CK was all bouillon. In 1994, I was sitting at home listening to the radio. Raymond Lawrence was talking, and he happened to be talking about the Dumbfester Song Competition. But he was also playing cadence and talking about how cadence had dwindled and there was a lack of it. And while the man was saying that on the air, a song just dropped, Mexicano. And so I penned that song and I took it to Dumbfester. I won that hands down. Wow. As a matter of fact, I am persuaded that the original theme for the World Creole Music Festival came because of that song.
No, Bells Combo.
No, not necessarily. It wasn't the first song called Mexicano. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. But it's the association. I recorded that song with Eddie Angol, who was then related to Cornell. And so through that connection and Gordon, out of that came the not just the festival, but the recording of the albums,
of the commemorative
albums so
entitled Musical.
Yeah, so as a matter of influence, it's not like I'm not trying to lay claim to fame here. Just a matter of influence, and so
that's fair. That's pretty.
The through that came a resurgence of cadence. We had the first cadence festival in Dominica for after years in 1994. After Dumbfester, at the Arrock Cinema, with Exile One, Rough and Ready played for me on that, and Groovers was on that, yes. So really good experience, and then of course I've kept doing that. In 1996, I recorded the Let Me Go album.
This one really,
that was another turn. It took off, in a different kind of way. I had now, interestingly enough, a couple of my songs have been banned along the way.
Banned?
Oh yeah, like Voice of Life banned a couple of my songs. Yeah,
which song?
For example, Jesus is Sweeter.
Jesus is Sweeter.
Yes.
Was banned.
Yes.
It was banned because of the genre or the lyrical content?
No, what happened, and the lyrical content is strong. They played the song one afternoon, and somebody called from Trinidad. The guy was complaining. He said, I always have my radio on Voice of Life. And today something happened. I don't like it. He was in his store and playing, and then up comes Jesus is sweeter. And Rasta, when the son Rasta started bumping and singing, so he got bothered.
Because there were Rasta guys enjoying this song.
Yeah, but of course, it tells you also of the level of ignorance in which we operated at the time. Because, and so when the Let Me Go album came out, by the time Voice of Life decided to play Let Me Go, it was already number 1 on DBS, number 1 on Kyrie. As a matter of fact, I am the only artist in Dominica who has ever had any song or my song be number 1 on every radio station at the same time. Well, part of the experience. And so I've released album after album since then. There's Somebody Loves You in 98, Rise Up, Don't Stop, You Can Do It Right in 2000, and then God's Favor in 2006. Have not recorded an album since, but I'm working on one.
But in every album of yours, you made sure that you carried the Cadence Calypso
absolutely
on your shoulder.
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, this is so, significant. Let's fast forward because I want us to touch on the show that's upcoming.
Yes.
And then I also want us to touch on even the Calypso. Why Calypso? And because you had some critique to you performing at the competition. Mm-hmm. So we can maybe touch on, but let's go to the show first.
Okay. Friday, May 30th at 8 o'clock in the evening at the Bill Daniel Memorial Park in Goodwill. That's opposite the Pentecostal Church on the way to the hospital. Jerry Lloyd in concert. The theme of the concert, or title if you please, Sing, Rejoice, Praise, Testify, is going to be a wonderful, inspirational, heart-moving, and musically sound experience. I believe we're going to be doing songs from way back. Yeah. We're going to be doing songs around the Let Me Go time and through the albums, and of course we're going to also do songs that are upcoming for the next album and for the times to come. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a beautiful experience. I'm being backed up by a young band called Dynamics under the musical directorship of Chad Augustine, very prolific musician. Brilliant. And so the background vocals kicking is going to be beautiful. The practices have been wonderful, clean, clear. My anticipation is high. I expect very, very, very good experience, very, very good show, and Dominica can expect a very good concert out of this.
But apart from yourself singing as a star,
I was about to go into that. N Harmonics, group out of Cochrane. They form, I believe, the Cochrane Pentecostal Church's worship team, but they're prolific. They do well. They sing well. And then there's Lily Octave, who's known a lot for her jazz and her brilliant singing, and the cowboy himself, Julian Revere.
Yes, Julian Revere.
Yeah, so this will be the supporting acts.
This is a major event.
Yes, it is.
And what date again? Just give us
May the 30th, Friday, May 30th. We begin at 8 p.m.
Why a Friday, Jerry, and not possibly a Saturday?
This is the first time I've ever done an event where I've had to juggle with dates so much. When I began, I was going to do that at the end of April. There was something happening right in the middle of April, so I pulled it apart because it's, to me, we can all do and not necessarily compete in the sense of push. But so I moved it from April month end to May month end. It should have been Saturday night. And then one of my musicians says, but there's an event going on this Saturday night.
A gospel similar event?
Yeah, the Adventists are having 2 events on the Saturday and the Sunday.
Okay.
So I thought, let me move this thing to June month end. Because, of course, trying to get it sticky. Because, And then June month end, one of my singers says, it falls on my birthday. Then somebody else says, it's our anniversary. I was going to lose 3 people in that. I couldn't send it down the line.
Okay. So you're sticking with this coming month?
So as a result, I had to put it to May 30th. That was the only thing that was open. And I'm happy. I say regrettably in a sense because we don't want to muddy stuff. But I didn't have an option. I did not have another option.
How you feel about that particular package?
It's going to be massive. I think, as far as I'm concerned, and I said so last night on Mouvement Creole, that this is a concert for Dominica. And I believe, and I'm inviting everybody to come out, it's going to be massive. I think genre-wise, I'm cutting across the genres, from the ballads to all the way back to a bit of bluegrass country, because I'm going all the way back, and I'm taking it up to the reggae, to the calypso, to the cadence. Yeah, it's going to be full experience.
And price and where tickets can be available?
Okay. Adult tickets $40, children under 16 $15, VIP tickets $100. Tickets are available at Robinson's Grocery on right
That's
next to
opposite
ACS. Yes,
ACS.
and then on King George V Street opposite Astafans at Robinson's Bakery.
Bakery.
Also at Bullseye Pharmacy, and before the day is over, they should be available at Deepex.
At Deepex.
Yes.
Okay, so it's $40 normal.
Yes.
Any children special price for,
Yeah, well,
for children
under 16? Yes, $15.
Under 16, $15.
Yes. And I am having, because for me, I wanted to keep this affordable.
Yeah.
And I have considerations for families with a lot of children.
Yeah.
So where that is the case, I invite you, contact me. Let's see if we can put a package together so if the family can have the experience.
You themed it.
Sing, rejoice, praise, testify.
Why?
Well, one is the name of my upcoming album.
Ah.
But quite apart from that, it's the nature of experience that we're going to have. Some of the songs, because they are known, we can sing them together. And it is a time to praise the Lord. It's a time to rejoice in Him. Of course, the messages will be encouraging, so that also helps. And testify, because some of the songs relate to experiences that many of us have had that we can sing to and then just praise the Lord about.
At this time in our history, even in our calendar, why a gospel concert? I say that on the heels of the amount of challenges, spiritual challenges that we're going through, and it is so important to understand we are blessed.
Yeah.
And sometimes we take that blessing for granted.
Well, we are living in hard times and times of a lot of bad news. The gospel is good news, and it brings balance to life. Secondly, a message that indicates that despite and in spite of all that is going on, there's hope beyond just this. And also that if we can maintain spiritual relationship with God through what we're going through, it makes the processes of life easier. Also, for me in particular, it's been past high time. My last concert was in 2013, in December at the Old Mill.
That's 12 years ago.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so while I've been involved in other activities, other gospel concerts, but like a Jerry Lloyd concert, it's been long in coming. And
let's just kind of dwell on the spirituality of us, because sometimes we have to, look within ourselves, ourselves, and see where we are, because we tend to feel that we are here on earth because of our own doing or of our parents, but then there is a bigger force, there's a bigger picture behind it.
Yes.
And he is the person that have us. He is the person that is behind us. Our mere living, the way we operate as he knows everything that is going to happen even before it is happening.
Yes, he does.
And do you believe, or do you observe, or do you experience that we are grateful or showing gratitude towards the Messiah?
Some of us do. It is not as prevalent as it used to be or as it is supposed to be. I think as we become more tech savvy, maybe, and more modern, if you please, there is a departure from the God who has brought us and kept us and still keeps us today. And as a matter of fact, in lots of ways, God and Jesus are treated as if, when I need you, I'll check you. So hurricane come in, disaster, somebody dies. But the concentration on the day-to-day relationship with the Lord is not as strong as it used to be or as it needs to be. And so to me, to have the privilege and the opportunity to bring that consciousness again and to bolster that consciousness that, hey, regardless of who you are or what walk of life you're in, we have to keep relationship with God. We have to remain conscious, and not just conscious in a way that we can have relationship with him, so that when the things that we call on him for that are crucial come, we have the confidence to call him because we've been in relationship. After all, in him we live and move and have our being. And the spirit of man is the candle of the Lord that searches all the inward parts of the belly. God is not far, the scripture says, from every one of us. And so him being that close, if we could live as we do and prosper as we do without the consciousness of him, what would life be if our relationship with him was in order? We're added to the prosperity and things we have. We would be walking in the peace of God, the joy of the Lord, the love of God, and the things that make us indeed better human beings.
I remember speaking to the late Bishop Bill Daniel, also Pastor Rodney, and also Pastor Augustine. And that was when I was at the World Creole Music Festival.
Right.
And I even think I spoke to you also as to what is your opinion of a gospel or spiritual aspect to the World Creole Music Festival, because there was lots of Creole artists around, including the late Xavier Foster. He was alive at the time. And I think some Smith guy in Guadeloupe, you and several others.
No, Bernard Smith, that would have been St. Croix.
Bernard Smith, right. Bernard Smith, right. Exactly. But he played Creole.
Yes, he played Creole.
Some
that's
music.
Correct, yes.
And these men of God told me they would preach. They would be, really, they are for it, 100%. But then it hasn't happened. But what's your opinion of gospel music?
I was invited to the first World Creole Music Festival, the first one. My answer at the time was, yes, I'll do it. Light shines best in darkness. We live and we have an experience, if you please, for the sake of the World Creole Music Festival. We have a Creole experience that we live. The experience is a complete experience. Yet in the Creole event, you leave out the aspect of it that has to do with our spiritual life. That's unwise, if you please. And so, for me, the opportunity to bring that aspect to it is to maintain through the process the consciousness that us Creole people also have a spiritual experience and a responsibility toward God. And so that is to be done. And also, like with every other message that is propagated, we propagate the gospel in Creole as well.
So you believe there is a space, or there should be a space,
absolutely,
or a space should be created.
Absolutely. Well, let's.
At the time, I felt this, because we were just transiting into the afternoon aspect of the festival on the Sunday. And when I spoke to the various pastors, I told them, and even the guy, the guy that sang Go Puel, I can't recall his name now. Go Puel,
Chicky, yeah.
But he's now, he's now singing for the Lord. And he agreed, to come and play. Despite the fact that he played Go Puel on the same festival stage, he would now have been part of a different section.
Yes.
It would have been the first section.
Right.
On a Sunday. So I suppose starting off Sunday's lineup.
Yes.
Would be the gospel component. And I guess if after that anyone wants to go home, they could go home and allow whatever else to take place. But categorically feel as we evolve, there should be a space created.
Yes, as a matter of fact, in particular, I would not specifically necessarily just want to sing on the Sunday. I'd sing in the middle of the Monday night or the Friday night or the Saturday night. It's the music. It's the message. And it deserves a place. Well, let me try going this way. When Cadence, our Creole music, was not being propagated except by very few, God had me to carry it. Apparently, it needed to be brought across the divide. Well, if I can bring it across the divide, I guess I can sing it when it's being played post that period of time. And there's, It's the music, it's the message. As a matter of fact, when Cadence began, people used to talk about conscious reggae. Cadence was very consciously.
The majority of the lyrical content of
very, very conscious. Yes.
To a high 90% is so much. There's love. There is back to Africa repatriation.
Yeah, the way we live, exploitation.
What went on in the 70s, Ponchive. There's so much varying topics in Cadence Calypso and sentiments
a
and
little
moods
nostalgia.
and different styles of Cadence Calypso. I just can't believe for whatever it means, why aren't we embracing this and teach our children? I mean, it's true Gordon said that it is the music of the 70s, but what? It is ours.
Well, let's see.
It is ours.
Let's examine that, Wadix. If indeed it is the music of the 70s, what are the French people doing?
Well, the hit parade.
No, I hear that. But how come the French people are still playing it, though?
Yes, and not even the French people only. There's in the Indian Ocean, in La Réunion, it is as big as it used to be in Dominic and continues to be.
There you go.
That's where Anthony Gussie resides.
Okay. The reason why I mentioned the French people is because when we were playing Cadence, French music was not like that.
No.
But they've held it, they've kept it, and it doesn't matter what else they play. The zouk is not going anywhere. We give that to them.
Yes.
That's value.
And, we're exploring even the Calypso art form now, myself, Gordon, and a few other brothers, Bob. We had several editions. And we are heading towards that direction where we're going to actually revisit the influences of Calypso. You started off as a Calypsonian at the grammar school, I recall.
Yes.
And you came back into the big ring, into the big league, the national competition. And there was quite a bit of talk about Jerry as a Christian being part of the Calypso or the Bacchanal or the ungodly. How do you see Calypso and taking part in a Calypso competition as a Christian?
When we much earlier in the program, I told you that I receive songs as a gift. I don't struggle to write. The songs come. Words, music, the songs come. And so in the midst of writing for my 1998 album, that was in 1995, down came a song, Is My Land. I looked at the song and the song wasn't like the others. It's coming from the same lot, but it wasn't like the others. I realized it was going to, that's 1995. I arrived here in 2006 to sing that song.
Wow.
So I knew it was coming at some point. And I struggled with it for a while. I was in consultation with pastors over it because I know it was different and somehow it wasn't something I could give somebody else to sing. So when that thing woke up inside of me again in 2005, I was on St. Martin at the time. I consulted with my pastor, another pastor that was very good for advice. Came down to Dominica, spoke with Bishop Bill Daniel about what I had come to do, and then I spoke with Peter Augustine because I said, listen, Peter Augustine is a man that doesn't put water in his mouth. If he thinks it's nonsense, he'll tell me.
Yeah.
And so when I spoke to him, he said, boy, that's what the Lord is calling you to. Go do it. So I came with a message because to me, that's what the Lord gave me to bring. And it seems to me that if you have a message from me, Wadix, you can't go to Portsmouth and bring it. I don't live there.
Tell you.
I don't live there.
Tell you.
You see. And so that was the place for the message. It was to Dominica. I brought it there. I told them that, I said, listen, 2 years. I came back in 2007. Boy, water. Wadix. If we go back through our calendar and times, Dominica has not known flooding before 2007, as far as I know.
That is true.
On the night of that
is true.
That night of competition. Oh, before I go there, interestingly enough, I sang Is My Land at the quarterfinals. When I was on the street up above DBS walking, going to my vehicle, I encountered Mr. Ozzy Lewis and the manager of DBS, Curtis Matthew. Well, acting manager now. Both of them said to me, but Mr. Lloyd, you made us feel like we were in church tonight, man. Now, that's in Calypso.
Yeah.
Where people figure the bacchanal was going on. And here are two commentators who are in the scenario telling you we felt like we were in church. Apparently, we were visited by the Spirit of the Lord in the arena. And so God does not walk with the limitations that we set upon ourselves. Now, if I go without him, I got problems. But if he sends me, then I'm okay. And the criticism then does not matter. So I sang Water in 7. When I was announced to sing that song, it was a bright night. When I was announced to sing that song, it started to rain. When I was through singing the song, the rain stopped.
Wow.
And since that, Dominica has been flooding. And there was a time when every time there was another flood, DBS would play the song. The last time they did that was after Erica in 2007.
Erica, yeah.
Yes. Mr. Cecil Joseph asked me, is that all the water? I said to him, not if we don't behave ourselves.
We have more water coming.
To my knowledge, DBS has never played that song since.
And then we
Excuse me. Right, but the thing is, it's not the song bringing the water. It's just a message of what. And so I have been with Calypso like this. If I was looking for a place to sing and songs, calypsos to sing, I have enough calypsos. Right? I've been writing. I keep writing.
But you think it's a divine calling?
I believe so.
And to go wherever you need to
yes.
send and spread the message.
And so every time it is necessary to come, I come. Let me give another instance that will help you. I'll do that quickly. 2013, I was in St. Martin. I wrote a song called Help Me, Calypso. Recorded the song and I just kept the song there. There was nothing to do with it apart from it, so I had it there. In 2018 or probably early 18, I believe, some girl videotaped her father having an raping, incestuous, and that thing hit social media. But Dominica was quiet. The day after that video hit, I took the song Help Me to every radio station in the country.
So appropriate.
Matt, Daddy touching me in the night. I frightened. I can't tell nobody. Yeah. Matt played that song that day. He interviewed me. To my knowledge, that's the only radio station that played the song. It hit me, Wadix. My reaction was, that's how we get. Something like that could happen in the country and no outcry like it didn't happen. That's why I came back to Calypso in 2019, in 2020, during the COVID thing. That's why I came back to register that song, so that to become a voice for the suffering voiceless of the atrocities that they suffer, and everybody just goes by quietly like it's not happening.
You intend to continue singing through that medium?
Absolutely.
If you get a calling.
Absolutely. When I know I must be there, I come to it.
This is Creole Heartbeat, and we are in with Jerry Lloyd. We just want to remind you that the long-awaited Dominican Music Awards has been postponed to a later date. We are in discussions with the government of Dominica, also stakeholders from Paris, Guadeloupe, New York, to really bring you a premium product. And sometime later this year, as soon as we can have our discussions finalized, we will present the date to you. So once again, those who were looking forward to the Dominican Music Awards, we have postponed the awards to a later date, and that's because, once again, we are in discussions with the government of Dominica, who wants to really make this an annual event alongside some of the stakeholders. So committed partners, we want to really thank you. You are the backbone, you are the spinal cord of this, and musicians, artists, professionals. The date will be released very soon. Culture and Christianity. There is a notion, especially in Dominica, that if you're a Christian, you shouldn't take part in cultural activities. What's your opinion?
That's not correct. There is a.
Do you go to shows, Jerry, like the World Creole Music Festival or the Jazz and Creole? Or do you see any problem with a fellow Christian going to these activities?
I don't particularly have issues with it. Do I go in particular? And at this point in time, no. I'm occupied. I'm severally occupied.
You know, I've seen just to the strip. I've seen performances because I like going out to the Christian activities.
Mm-hmm.
there's a slight resemblance of they're having a good time,
But yes,
and
Wadix.
the normal way they would have a good time to the other types of music.
But Wadix. Look here.
Hands in the air.
Look here. God operates through the culture.
Yeah.
If you met an American Christian man and he was going to sing, he would probably sing American music.
Yeah.
The message would be different.
Mm-hmm.
So the lyrics would be different. So the spirit that drives it would be different. But he would probably sing American music. I don't think that if an American man got changed by God, he would suddenly start singing reggae. You understand?
Mm.
In the same way, if a young Dominican now is touched by the Lord and he gives his heart to Jesus and he sings Bouillon, it would not surprise me.
But then we have recorded
exactly
songs, from Bouillon.
Right. So I understand that God operates through the culture. I understand.
So why is this genre, why is this genre itself, or some genres, as in or feel satanic, or there's a perception that it is satanic? Some genres, I not particularly.
Okay, a number of things could cause that. A lot of people do not understand that music is universal. Message and driving force is what taints music in either direction.
The lyrical content.
Right, lyrical content and when I say driving force, for example, the gospel comes driven by the Holy Spirit. Yeah. That kind of thing. Some people sing songs to create particular effects, and there's that which drives that. But quite apart from that, music is universal. So for me, when an individual expresses himself through music, the expression is as universal until the lyrics get to it, and then we know exactly what is coming out of that. So, should we sing the gospel in Bouillon? By all means. In cadence, by all means. And you say people behave the same way? Yes, because generally speaking, Dominicans dance the way Dominicans do.
Would you perform at the World Creole Music Festival right after Triple K?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
On the same night in Triple K.
Same, I told you so earlier.
Reach.
Yes, same night. Because light shines best in darkness. So
I like that message.
Yeah, light shines best. They come, they say this. I come, I say that. That is what the Lord is saying. When I'm saying that, I go out my business. Now you have this, you have that. You make a choice.
But then you would have to be at the arena, at the park, and the performance of the previous band would have to be going on while you prepare. That would not affect you.
So let me ask you a question then.
I'm just asking.
No, I know. I'm passing somewhere. So I'm answering the question. So I am about to go to Roseau, and I'm getting on a bus. I'm late, and the bus is jamming some of the latest, what they call the nasty business. So I should walk to town.
I love that.
Because to me, I get on the bus, I mind my business, I get off the bus and I go. And if I think if for me the music is offensive, then I will occupy my mind and my thinking with things that are more wholesome.
If you think about some Maho, it wouldn't affect you to the extent that you're stopping Fokule.
No. I'm going to Roseau. I go to Roseau in the bus. I store up my pure mind according to the Bible, and I go to Roseau. When I reach Roseau, I say, "Whoo, Lord, thank you." I go about my business. That's
then you will not go back. You will not return to that bus.
What if when I come back at 9 o'clock in the night?
You see that's
the only bus. You want me to walk to no? You understand me? So, but because I happen to believe now. If I had a choice of buses, and I might not select that bus, but I happen to believe, though, that if God sends me somewhere to deliver a message, He'll keep me through whatever is going on there to deliver the message in the purity that I come with, in the purity that the message comes with. I believe that.
Young people that have not known that level of spirituality, what message would they have for them?
The same thing, it takes the same thing for all of us to grow in God. One, read the Bible, be consistent about it, because it helps with the transformation of the person. Two, pray, spend time talking to God and listening to God. Three, you got to hang out with people that believe like you do, because in unity their strength. So for what you don't know, I may help you. For what I don't know, you're going to help me. So the strength that comes through that, the fellowship with God in prayer and the word, oh man, that helps each of us to grow. And so in the midst of that growth is maturity. And as our minds become more settled in God, then the ability, if you please, to be more resistant or to resist the things that would otherwise derail us becomes better, and so we become better in God. That's it.
This month end, May 30th, going to be a message for the nation.
Yes, it is a message for the nation, and I am inviting one and all. Wadix, you got to be there.
I will be there.
Yeah, you got to be there. It's a time.
Should I bring my Bible when I come in?
Well, if you
Should
don't
I dance if I get
if you don't bring it, I'm gonna quote from the word. Are you gonna? If you should
No,
you
I'm
dance?
just asking to be well organized. Should I come to dance with my dancing shoes? Well, I know you're going to play kadas, so I will dance.
So no. So let me ask you a question. If you go home and there's music there, you gonna dance?
If I go home,
And there's music there, you might.
Depending on the music.
Thank you.
Depending on the music.
You'll dance depending on what you want to do when you get there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying
But
to
tell
say.
the nation what they can
But
expect on the May
it's a
30th.
night of rejoicing, a night of singing, a night of praising the Lord, a night of testimonies, a night of song. Jerry Lloyd in concert. We are taking you way back to some of the songs that some of you may not even know, taking you through what you know and to new songs that will be released on the night. It's going to be a beautiful night of praise to God, a night of inspirational music, also a night of message and encouragement. Come everybody, come Dominica, and let's have a good time in the Lord together. It's going to be a massive experience. We also have, like we said, Lily Octave, Julian Revere, and Enna Harmonics to also enhance the product, and it's going to be a night of excellence.
Well,
At the Bill Daniel Memorial Park, that's opposite the Goodwill Pentecostal Church on the way to the hospital for directional purposes. And of course, adult tickets $40, children under 16 $15, and VIP $100. And we're planning to treat you very well in the VIP. We're going to take care of you well.
and if you're feeling the spirit,
Then behave like you do.
Jerry Lloyd, I really hope that everything will work out for this
Thank you, Adi.
particular concert. You have been exemplary. I mean,
Thank you, sir.
I have seen you perform, and you are truly a professional. You take this thing to a next level. You take this thing very serious, and I think you have a nice star-studded cast, backup cast with you. Something about Lily Octave is Octave under you, but she's of real world class quality. Something about her is just premium, and then the Caribbean cowboy, you can't get it any better.
Yeah. He's international.
He's
standard.
international.
Absolutely.
I mean, Julian Revere is truly international, and you yourself, what you have done for gospel music, I truly hope that it can be documented and recorded, because you revolutionized. Joseph Nile sang what? What kind of genre Joseph Nile sang?
He was into reggae light.
Light reggae,
Spooge,
spooge, a little spooge.
calypso as well.
But calypso and gospel in reggae and gospel in katas. You were the one that you started
Yes, sir.
singing before Xavier Foster?
I suspect so. I don't
Okay,
know.
well that's for another time.
Likely. Oh yeah, when we get to talking again, we also have to talk about my influence on music in Dominica, because there are some things that might interest you to know. We'll get to that.
So possibly when we do a little post-mortem
Absolutely.
on the event. But then Dominica, we had Jerry Lloyd, Dominica's prolific sound writer, performer, takes his message. Boy, that's a bold move, taking your message to the Calypso arena. When people drink rum and smoke whatever they smoke and they want to listen to their kaiso, and you bring in the delivering, the spirit is taking you to wherever. And that's a lot of confidence, and that's what the Lord does.
Yeah, that's what
Take
he
you
does.
wherever, and He protects you. Wherever, and I really want to congratulate you for the boldness in what you do. Your lyrical content is so potent and so rich. It is so edifying. And the performance out of this place, I really want to continue to encourage you. 56 years singing in Dominica, and 42 years
45.
singing, 45 years singing gospel music. I think this is phenomenal.
Thank you.
This is historic. And I really hope that everything will be in place. I'm not sure what DBS can do to assist you and to help you to promote this event this coming month end. But thank you for what you have done for Dominica.
You're
apart from
welcome.
that, you have
You're
been
welcome,
a teacher.
sir.
Apart from that, you have been a radio announcer. You have been doing so much. You're part of the NIPP, bringing boarding gospel artists to the fore. Thank you, my brother. And may God bless you and
Anytime,
good luck.
Alex. That's what I'm here for. Thank you.
This was another Creole Heartbeat program. We just want to remind you that the Dominica Music Awards scheduled for this weekend has been postponed to a later date, and that's because we are in discussions with the government of Dominica and several other stakeholders. So we'll present to you a new date, very, very shortly. Until next week, I'm Prince Wadix. May God bless you, and may God bless Dominica. Over to Dr. Miguel Labadie in Studio 1.
This is a good time to let you know that God